Yeah, man.
Hey, Professor. How
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. All right. Are you finishing this semester, Ahmad, and going to Sac State? Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Cool. How's it going? Do you have anything you need? Are you like materials or anything to get ready for the spring?
Not yet. I applied. I got the approval for the next semester, and I'm waiting for my orientation. And from there, I will go because their system is so complicated and new for
Is
me.
it
Yes.
even more than ARC? I feel like our ARC's computer technology is not impressive to me, but Sac State's is it more complicated?
Yes. Maybe it's new for me. That's how it looks. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's way complicated than ARC.
Mm,
They have so many details, so many people and departments are involved. Maybe it's at the beginning. I have no idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. The US, like US higher ed is really complex, lots of, forms and departments. And like you just said, do this to get that piece of paper, to talk to that person, to go to that meeting, to get this approval. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
How's your mom doing?
It's scary time. It's scary time right now. There's 11 people in her nursing facility have COVID right now. It's really, really scary.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really scary. But they're testing her every day. And I don't know. This is where I don't want to be corny, but it's all up to God now. There's nothing, I don't know. There's nothing we can do. Hey, Osama. Well, I got to see her, even still through the window and stuff, but still get to go see her. And she seems okay. She's very worried, of course, but like I said, there's nothing we can do. Thank
That's
you for
right.
asking.
That's true. Yeah.
How are you guys? How's your family? Is everybody safe? Everybody okay?
Yeah, everybody's good. Yeah. Thank you. Everybody's good. Trying
You're
to.
yeah, you're on the up. You're coming back up, still getting back to normal, feeling like your normal self.
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
good. Hey, Osama.
Yes, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm fine. Still struggling in this life.
Yeah.
Still worrying about how the election will go on. How to see the ending of this tragedy with this. I don't know what to call it. That
Yeah. Yeah. It'll end. I know there's constant drama, but he's gonna go. He's gonna go.
but as you said, there is 74 million
I
votes.
know. I know.
That mean we need a lot of what to do to change the opinions of
Yeah.
those minded. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think the whole world.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey guys, this is Juan. How are you?
How are you, sir? Good, good.
Hey, guys, on.
I'm okay. Um, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Sama. I think I don't know. I don't know. You just hope that people remember their humanity and kindness to each other. And I think I've been thinking about this a lot more than anything. The politics is politics, and whatever. But I think it's just that man. He's just not a good man. He doesn't speak kindly. He doesn't treat people with respect. Like I wish for our world that we would all be more kind and respectful. And I think more and more, I think that's even the like heart of the thing for me is governments come and go and countries come and go. History shows us that, but human kindness, we need it. We need it forever. So that's my thing.
Is he a bubble or what? Or he will continue
I don't know.
to have a place in the politics?
People, humans like charming people with big personalities. I don't know. That's also from history shows us that too. So I don't know. I don't know.
He has nothing at all. No, no, there is no specific, only he liked money. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well,
Yeah, and that's all what he did. He could make a very big contract with Saudi Arabia and the
yeah.
Gulf area, and that's all.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's true. That's the dark side. Yeah, power and money. Humans like that too, unfortunately.
Yes, yes. But this means for us, uh, we should not hesitate this case, and we have to fight to get the majority in the elections for the House, for the Congress, for the Senate, for the presidency, all sensitive locations. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
have
I think,
a
yeah.
chance.
And I mean, yeah, I understand. I know. I care a lot too. But I've just, maybe it's just because stuff within my family and stuff like that and my personal life, I just don't have as much time. I just try not to think about it as much. You don't want to ignore it and deny it because you want to live in the real world, but also trying to keep it in a healthy place so that we feel like we can recognize all the beauty in the world that is there, even though horrible, I mean, it's so scary, right? Like horrible things happen all the time, but beautiful, amazing, sort of miraculous things happen too. And trying to find the balance. I'm not saying I do it every day, but I'm trying. I'm trying.
And that thing, what you could transfer to me,
Okay.
one, respond to one of the questions of your assignment.
Which one?
You put several questions, and I read very quickly.
Hmm.
So I feel that you could, not a teaching, you could transfer to us, or to me at least, several, you could transfer several gaps in the wall to make a sense with rich poems, with life,
Mhm.
make different views for
Mm.
everything. Yes, this is what happened with
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think, hey Letty, hey Hiroe. I definitely think I mean, yeah, I love reading and I love books. So I definitely think poetry and fiction are some beautiful things that can help us find beauty in the world. I know that I definitely run, although I've been watching Star Wars lately. Star Wars is also distracting for my brain, but books and poetry Star Wars is easier on my brain than reading. But the last week when I've been very stressed, where's my book? I'm reading, here's one of the books I'm reading. All my books on my desk. I've got this book. So books and poetry definitely help me stay calm, or TV if I'm just really turning off my brain. So cool. It's good to see you guys.
good to
Yeah,
see.
well, I mean, I was reading, I finally got to finish grading things, even though I didn't get to give specific, I'll talk about the grading and stuff like that, but actually get to read everything. And I don't know, your responses to your personal narratives and your poetry analysis were definitely bright spots, beautiful things in my life. So I hope they brought you joy to write them, because I will tell you, I could feel joy when I was reading them. So it was really, really wonderful. Hey, Jay. Hey, Hung.
Hi, Professor.
Hello. We'll wait a few minutes just like usual. How are you guys? Anybody else? We've only got what, 2 more weeks and you guys have finals. How are you? You're gonna make it? We're okay?
Yeah.
Ahmad already said he's good. He's moving on to Sac State. Anybody else want to say how's the end of the semester going? Nope. That's fine. You don't. We're so tired we can't talk, Jeff. Oh, okay.
Actually,
Yeah, guess what?
yeah, so far I'm so good. I'm almost everything is A's, and I'm working so far, so I'm happy.
Hey, I like that.
So
That's good.
finally, thank you so much. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's great. So Guzman's doing okay. A's and working and making it happen. Even with the kids at home. Good, great, amazing work, Guzman.
Hello, can you hear me?
I definitely can. Can you guys
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead?
I had an issue with the video, so
Yep.
sorry.
No problem at all. We got you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So Professor Jeff, so do we need to rewrite the draft or no?
I'm gonna say no, but I'll talk more about it. I have a slide. I have a slide all about it. So yeah, I'll talk about that more, but I'm gonna say no. My intention right now is to make life easy for you guys and not feel like you have to do extra work. And to try and I know, but I also know there's one student who texted me about, oh, but I got an 84 and I want to rewrite it. And I'm just like, oh God, I don't care. I'd rather give you the A at the end of the semester than have you guys rewrite some of your narratives, especially were 5 or 6 pages. Like you guys don't need to be rewriting. Here it is more than 5. You're laughing. You're right. Here
Like 10 pages.
No, yeah, here was so beautiful. They're all just fantastic. But yeah, I don't want you guys to feel like you need to be rewriting. And again, it's for me. This is my job to figure it out. But I'm still thinking about for the spring how to make this possible so that people can rewrite, because I think revising really does help improve writing. I think that's a good way to learn, is for people to revise their own writing. But if I'm honest with you, most times when students say, can I revise? That doesn't mean, ooh, I really want to become a better writer. That means I want to get an A. I'm like, okay, I'll just give you the A. Like, I don't care. So, anyway, these are the things I think about over Thanksgiving break.
Me, I hate white, but I love reading. I hate white.
I don't believe you. I just, having read both of your personal your narratives and your poetry analysis were beautiful, Letty.
Yes, but I love reading.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe, do you like writing in Spanish, Natalia?
Yes.
Hey, eso, so you'll get there. You'll get there in English. Don't worry. Well, I like reading what you write. How about that then, Letty?
I love now the book where I'm reading, the one with the Ursula Le Guin, like Kill Le Guin. But because I listen to you, if I lost, I go back and start to read. And I love reading because I know it's the best way to read, to learn. I read a lot before, maybe 40 years ago, when I graduated from the high school. But I still having problem with the writing,
Yeah. Well, everybody is at a different place on the path, Letty. And if you are comfortable reading and love reading right now, do that. I mean, yeah, that's all. I don't have too much deep to say about that. I love reading too. I don't know what to say. I agree. I agree. Usama, I can't hear you. I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
I listen to you reading the fiction.
We cannot hear you.
Yeah, you're coming a little in and out. Can you get closer?
Yes, now?
Eso.
I listen to you reading of the novel, The Lady of Heaven, 3 times. And each time I enjoy more and more.
Oh my God.
Because your way of reading, you're focusing on some point, and it is like I am seeing the things live when you read. So it was more easy to me than read the book itself.
Yes, I enjoy to reading with you, Professor.
Me too.
You are.
I love reading with you.
You are all touching my heart.
No, Professor Jeff, you should have a YouTube channel. Really.
I mean, I think or I don't know about a YouTube channel, but like, could I get paid? Like, could I read audiobooks or like,
Well, you should.
I cannot tell you all how much I love my job. I cannot tell you all how much I love working with you guys. But, oh my God, teaching 3 writing classes, like I still feel so bad that it took so long to grade, because it's like trying to grade 70 essays. It's just crazy. It's just
Of
crazy.
course.
So anyway, again, it's my job. No one should feel bad for me. But I love to sit in my room and read and record. Like I'll read through the book and then imagine how I want to read it. And then my favorite thing that you said, Letty, there was, or Osama, you said it too, is I feel like you just gave me a great gift when you said it felt like reading the book with me, like I was with you when you were reading. This is honestly, I think, something magical, because I was talking to my friend about this. I don't know if you, Letty, you were saying you love to read. I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I'm reading, I don't ever feel, if I'm by myself reading, I don't feel alone. I really always feel a connection with the author. If I love the book, if it's an okay book, okay, maybe. But like when I really love the book, I really do feel this connection. So it's very special to me to hear you say that, that you felt like I was reading the book with you, because honestly, that was kind of my dream for why I did this. Again, like when I told Margaret, I don't know if anybody ever took a class with Professor Travis, Margaret, I told her, oh, I'm recording myself reading the book for the student. She was like, that's kind of weird.
Why?
Because it's not really,
So
I don't know.
helpful.
Yeah, I think so too, but it's not, nor, do you know what I mean? Like it's not,
It's not norm, yes.
yeah, it's not usual, I guess.
Yes. It's extra miles you went for us, right?
But I felt like this online learning thing is not usual. So that was, again, like you guys are, I'm so grateful for all of you. You've been so patient with me, because you're like my guinea pigs. This is an idiom. You're kind of like my guinea pigs trying to figure out how to do this online teaching thing in a way that feels real. Again, like I can give you guys lessons in Canvas and give you points, but you guys already know how I've said this many times, getting a 20 out of 20 doesn't mean you learned anything. Like I love learning. I love teaching and learning. And I kept thinking, how can I make a situation where the students will learn something new? It's not going to feel like in class. It's going to feel very different. It still feels very different. But for Usama, for you to say that you listened 3 times, that's a lot of Jeff's voice. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Usama.
I really could understand indeed. I read Freud and his student, and I could understand because there is a lot of psychiatric things in the reading.
Yeah, it's
And
not easy reading. Yeah.
But Professor Jeff, I
and
believe for ESL students, the reading, listening to you to read the books helps a lot, because English is not our primary language.
Yeah.
So we can see and understand, but we often do not know the intonation, accent, how to make a rhythm. It's definitely helped me. Thank you.
Yes, me too, because special the punctuation, how we want to learn the punctuation, but we never understand really well. When we're reading, we can see the pauses when you are reading, and the punctuation is really easy to understand.
Yep.
For me, it's a lot of help.
I'm
Yes,
so
A lot of
happy.
help.
It really means a lot to me. And I guess the last thing I want to say about this is the other reason that I recorded myself reading so much this semester is I think one challenge for language learners, multilingual students, even super high level students like you guys, is just because someone's talking to you in any language, actually, this is just about human communication. I mean, people talk all the time, but that doesn't mean they're actually trying to be understood, right? Like what my intention, my goal, my dream when I was reading the book and reading Why Translation Matters is that my intention in my mind and my heart was, I want to try to say this so that the students will understand the meaning, not just, oh, they'll understand the definition of a word, or they'll be able to answer a true false quiz about the text, right? My dream was, I want to try to speak in a way that will allow students to understand. And I do think that's very important for language learners like you guys. But again, like Usama was talking about, the politics of the world right now, I think that's a problem for people in their first language too, right? Like, are you actually trying to be understood? Are we actually listening when we talk to each other? So anyway, that's a little bit about like the background about sort of how that came together. Gazwan and then Usama. I saw Gazwan's hands and then Usama. Gazwan.
Actually, honestly, when you're reading, I feel it's kind of guidance when you're reading it for us. So it's really a benefit for your reading is really good for us. Um, it's sometimes the tones, the stress, it's really guide me to do what is need to be done. And also sometimes, to be honest with you, I'm copying you how to read, and I'm reading by myself. Copy exactly how you're reading it. In this case, say I'm gonna be better reader.
I think so too.
That one. Next semester it will be my last semester, and one of the classes will be Spanish classes.
Eso.
Can you just recommended any book or anything I have to read it before I get in?
Oh yeah, we could talk. Stay with me after class. We can talk about Spanish. What I tell you, what my suggestions for Spanish are going to be the same for English, for language learning, but you'll just start at a different level. But yeah, we can definitely talk. We can definitely talk. And thank you for your kind words. Usama, you want to say something else? And then I do have stuff for us today. It's not, but it's very helpful for me to hear what works about the audio. So it's not just for me and my ego. Speaking of Freud, Usama. Yes, Usama, what else?
This section, I feel it is written in a cinematic way. You imagine things because describing all the details, the place, people moving or in the place, and people speaking to each other. And you could transfer this cinematic feeling to me. I am in the vision of this in each event.
I love it. That's great. Cinematic. I love the word cinematic. And the other thing, I think the other thing that sometimes we forget, and I've talked about this with you guys all the time because it's sort of how I live my whole life, not just as a teacher, but stories are so important for the human animal. Like, it's one of the things that makes us different than the other animals on the planet, is that we create these stories about our lives. We create these stories about our experience. We create these stories about the past, and we imagine stories about the future. And I think that sometimes we forget that when we're reading fiction, it really is just a narrative, right? It's a story with a beginning, middle, and end. Now, we're going to talk about literary analysis and some of the stuff that you guys did such a beautiful job in your poetry papers, projects. We're going to talk about that stuff, and that's very important. But what Usama said made me think about, yeah, I think that when I'm reading, my intention is that it's a narrative, right? Like, she's telling us a story. She's saying what happens. So when Usama says you can sort of imagine, oh, he did this and he went there and he was in the office, and that's the whole point. At least that's, I don't know if Letty agrees, but that's why I like to read, is because we get this feeling, we get this feeling. All right, well, that was cool. I'm really, like I said, I'm like a mad scientist this semester, so it's helpful to know that the recording of the book was helpful for you guys. That's really, really joyful. Makes me very happy. Thank you. So we will get to talk a lot more about the book. But first I've got some business, and then we'll talk about the book, and I'll sort of show you what's coming up with our last 2 weeks. We're at the end. Well, really from now a week, really, after today, right? So, all right, so here's what's going on. I've got announcements. So I've got some business stuff to talk about. Then that question, what's left? So what's left? And then we talk about the book. So grading and feedback. So here's the paragraph, but I'll just read it for us. So all of the grades in Canvas are now finally current. Now, I will say, in order to get all of the grading done for all of the classes, I had to use rubrics and write really short summary quotes at the end of the grade, instead of doing a more detailed analysis for each student. Now, again, you've seen the way I do that because we did that in the writing workshop twice, right? Where we looked paragraph by paragraph or sometimes sentence by sentence. Now, I will tell you, I love doing that type of grading and feedback. Like, that's what I usually expect myself to do. But honestly, for this semester, with distance learning, with my mom in the hospital, with just life right now, I wasn't able to do that. So I will say, if you want that kind of feedback, like if you want paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence feedback, I am happy to do that with your papers. But instead of me doing it alone in my house at 2 in the morning, I'm going to ask you to make an appointment with me so that we can do it via Zoom. Okay. So this is my attempt. This is my like dream to try and find the balance where I'm here for you to analyze your work if you want to. But if you're happy with your grade and that's enough, then great, that's fine too. Okay. What else do I want to say about this? Oh, and same thing. So if you got a score and you want to get a higher score and you're like, oh my God, Jeff gave me an 84, but I don't know what to do to get a higher grade, then just make an appointment with me and text me, email me. We'll do it via Zoom. I'll tell you what to fix, and then you can fix it for a higher grade. Okay. It took me 15 weeks to figure out how to do this stuff. So again, thank you all for your patience. I'm so grateful for you. Any questions at all about this, the grading for the final projects and stuff like this? Yeah, I thought people would be happy. Lots of A's in this class. So I didn't think people would be too worried, but easy to give A's because the papers were just so freaking beautiful. Okay. So I'll just say that then for the people who are here, thank you. If you're not here and you're watching the video and you are confused about your grade, text or email me and let's talk. Okay, next announcement. Final exam. There is no final exam for this class. Oh, this should say, I'm not going to do a timed final exam. If I get in trouble, I don't care, but I don't think anybody's going to ever find out, so I don't care. There is going to be a final reflection activity that will just be a chance for you to respond to several questions about what you learned in this class and what you hope to build in the future. So I haven't finished these questions. I'm going to do that soon. But really, guys, imagine that I give you 5 questions like, what is something that you learned in this class? And then
have a good holiday.
I'm just going to mute you, Natasha. And then you write 200 words to answer that question. And another question, what's, it'll be stuff like that. It's just a chance to reflect on the learning that you did in this class. Super short and easy. And it's going to be basically, if you do it, you get the points. Okay, so that's the final exam for this class. And I'll show you the due dates, but basically nothing, I'll say this right now, and I'll show you in the next few slides here. Nothing is due before December 14th. That's Monday. That's 2 weeks. What? That's almost a week and a half, I think, a week and a half. That's the day we were supposed to have that's our final exam date. So that's when it's due, but I'll publish that in Canvas today. Okay. Questions? Yes. Okay, good.
Yes, I have a question.
Hiroe, Ahmad, and Usama. Yes.
Okay, so my question is, I understood everything, but in Canvas, as of today, it's still literally literature analysis on it. So it will be deleted?
Let's talk, so hold that thought,
Okay.
because I have 2 ideas and I want to hear how people feel first.
Okay,
So hold that thought, Ahmad.
Actually, I don't have a question. I want to say that that is the best news I have heard in 2020.
It's enough. I'm sure you guys have enough final exams. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you have enough. If you want a final, I'll give you one. I really do feel like we've learned a lot. I hope you agree, but I really hope that you guys, I realize I've been thinking about it. The first 6 or 7 weeks, I threw a lot of stuff at you guys. We went really fast at first. So,
No, thank you. I don't want a final test.
Oh, I'm so lucky. No,
here.
de verdad? Okay. Usama, question.
No, then it is just a wonder. You told us that you will show us how to download all the
Yep.
classes, the pictures, and all.
I will do it next. I haven't, I know exactly how I am going to set that up in Canvas, Usama. I haven't done it yet. 1 week from now, on our final meeting, I will show you exactly how to do it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so that's the final. Also, one more thing, and then I want to talk about Hero A's question. So extra credit. I'm also going to give you all a chance to earn extra credit, up to 30 points of extra credit this semester. This will be in Canvas and assignments I'm going to show you. For extra credit, all I want you to do is video record yourself answering 4 questions. Oh, it might be 5. Forgive me. About the design and execution of this class. There is no minimum or maximum time limit. All you have to do to get the 30 points is honestly and thoughtfully answer the questions. So I'm going to go to Canvas now and show you, and then I'll take questions. So if you go homepage, assignments, extra credit. So same thing, you can earn up to 30 points. To do this, you need to video record yourself answering the following questions. There's no minimum length of time or word count. All you need to do is get the extra credit, just answer the questions. So I put 4, and then like I always do, I just want to hear you guys talk. So I keep adding questions. 6 questions. So these are questions about the design of this class, not about the content. And the reason that I'm giving you extra credit, and I'll tell you this right now for everybody too. So I'm asking you to video record yourself because my plan is to show if there's anything that I can show to other teachers in the ESL department about what I'm trying here, about no due dates, about canceling the final exam, about changing some of the stuff for online teaching, because some people are happy to try new stuff and other people think it's horrible and it's a bad idea. And I think there is nothing more powerful for teachers than hearing students' experiences. So I'll also say this, if you don't want to video record yourself, you can just do audio, but I would love it if you feel comfortable. I'm not going to put your answers on YouTube. I'm not going to do any of that. I might show some of your responses just to other teachers to say, like, look, they like it. Try this. Okay. So here are the questions. 1, how did this class compare to other online classes you took this semester? 2, do you feel like you did more work or less work for this class than your other classes? 3, do you feel like you learned more, less, or the same as your other classes? 4, what were some of the benefits of having no or flexible due dates? 5, what were some of the challenges of having no and flexible due dates? And 6, would you recommend that other teachers use a flexible hybrid course design? Why or why not? Video record yourself answering those questions. If you don't feel comfortable with video, you can just do audio too. 30 points. Questions? Ahmad. Oh, I can't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, I was saying that I will be more than happy to do this for free.
Yeah, well, take the points as well. Then, hey, A plus. Hero, wait, did I see your blue hand too?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, Hero, and then Usama. Yes.
Okay, so the last question, hybrid course. What do you mean by hybrid course? This is already what? This is hybrid.
That's a good question. So hybrid and flexible course, I don't care if you talk about this in your response, but this matters for when I talk to other teachers. This is kind of like a community college vocabulary word people are using right now. Hybrid and flexible means, okay, we were supposed to meet 2 days a week, but we only had 1 week of Zoom, 1 day a week in Zoom. I recorded all the video, but I recorded the videos. You can watch the videos whenever you want. So that sometimes gets called flexible course design. Hybrid course design means, as we imagine the spring and the summer and maybe the fall, the vaccine looks good, so maybe next fall will be fine. But when we imagine the summer, okay, will community colleges start to do 1 day a week in the classroom, 1 day a week online. Like that's what some of those words flexible and hybrid mean here away. So for this class, it doesn't really matter. It matters more for how I share your answers with the other teachers, if that makes sense.
So it's more like for future vision where
Yeah.
we should go with. Okay,
I,
understood.
whatever you want to call this class, hybrid or all online, hybrid, flexible, weird, not whatever, I don't care. You know what I mean? But like, but I definitely do feel like I'm trying something different, and I just want your opinions about what that experience was.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, great question here, right? Osama.
These circumstances is exceptional circumstances,
I'll
and the class, online class is a new experiment. The face-to-face class, it is very useful and more human to feel with each other.
Yeah.
But the unfortunately, this pandemic forced us to do the online. But
Yeah.
it is okay. This is one point. The other point, to record these questions, we have to follow up the same manner as you taught us before.
Well, I'm sorry, wait, what do you mean? You have to follow the same, to record, to answer these questions, you have to follow the same.
Manner, the same way which we used before, which we used to
Oh,
answer.
to record. Yes, exactly. When you, I think if you go, great point, Usama. So you guys might be able to see already, but I'll go to student view. And if you go to assignments, I think I only gave you the option to do a media recording. So let's see, where did I put this? Extra credit, submit assignment. And there it is. Yeah, your only option. When you click submit assignment, you'll see record, upload media. And you can do a recording or webcam. Oh, I can't use the webcam because I'm already using it for Zoom. But you know what I'm talking about. And that's it. So that's exactly how to do it, Osama. Thank you. So
Good.
any questions about the extra credit? Ahmad says he'll do it for free, but hey, get those points. Get those points.
Professor, the reason I said it, this is the second class which has similar structure,
Hmm.
and it's really useful, and students can learn some stuff. That's why I said that we need to bring a change into the college systems.
Yeah.
It's so old.
Yeah. Do you feel, Ahmad, and anybody real quick, I want to talk about the book, but this is my biggest fear though. That's why I'm going to ask is, do you feel like you're doing less work for this class than other classes? Yes or no?
No,
No,
And do you feel like you're learning any less in this class than other classes?
no.
no. I can bring up an example.
Sure, I'd love, this is my fear is I worry because I have my boss, like I have a boss, you know, an imaginary boss in my mind saying like, Jeff, you should be hard, you should be strict, you should have due dates, you should make them work harder. And that boss is saying, they're not learning enough, they're not learning enough. And I don't, that's why I want to know, right? Like, I feel like you guys are learning. I'm reading your papers, like, the way you analyze poetry, I was like, my heart was so full because I was like, you just did such a beautiful job. But I don't know, you know, I learned, I have, like I said, I have this voice in my head about what other people will think. And I'm trying to balance that with real life. So Ahmad, yeah, what was your example?
Yes, work-wise, I would say we do a lot because we work in the group during the class instead of doing individual assignments. That is the thing that helps us to learn a lot. An example is the poetry. And one of the discussions I wrote that I have read the 2 poems in the past. To be honest, I didn't know so much details about the poems until I took this class.
Mm.
And now I know every details of the English poetry. I
You-
didn't know anything.
Yeah, we like I said, yeah, and you guys also know I'd rather teach you guys like 4 or 5 new things instead of 20, and then have you really apply those 4 or 5 things. And oh my God, you guys, like I said, your papers were just consonants and assonance and alliteration, like those 3 or 4 things. People really just did such a beautiful job. So, you know what, guys, did I see your guys' hands too?
Yeah, I just want trying to give you an example.
Yeah.
Actually, there is no due date. It's really good for us. For
Yeah.
example, I have other classes. One of it's status or another class. When there's a due date and there is no time for me,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel I have to go online to search for the answers
Yeah.
instead of go for the book to read it because it's too much homework and there is no time.
Yeah.
It's pushing me to go for the online or looking for the other answers from
Yeah.
the Google or something.
Yeah.
But the class in here, I really like it. I mean, when I feel comfortable, I just go there, read while I'm relaxing. So I really got it.
I love it. Okay, good. That makes me happy. Like I said, you guys already know, you guys know me. All I care about is that you learn what you want to learn. That's really all I care about. So it makes me happy to hear, hear the things that go well, because it means that you're getting what you want. That's all I care about. Ahmad?
I want to say short. Here we are talking about quality versus quantity. To me, quality makes sense than the quantity.
I agree. But you said it perfectly, Ahmad. You know, the college system, it was all about quantity. It was literally the number of hours that students sat in a classroom. Like that's what earned you the grade, right? Is like 6 classroom hours per week plus 12 hours of homework per week. That is the number. I mean, it was all about the hours. And again, I had to fight that at the beginning of this semester, telling people like, I don't know, like 2 hours of Zoom feels like 6 hours. Do you know, like it real sometimes, you know, it really, especially if you're taking 4 classes and you have 7 Zoom classes a week, or it's too much. It's just too much. So anyway, I love that. I love quality versus quantity. I agree. Jay, do I see a blue hand, Jay?
Yeah, I was also gonna say about Gazwan that I really appreciate the thing that has no due dates, because I was also taking like a few more classes compared to this one.
Yeah.
And this gave me like no stress at all for like completing all the quizzes and stuff. Because like if you have that due date, anxiety levels would go higher and like you get stressed all the time.
Yeah.
But without due dates, you could work on it on your own.
Love it. Great. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And again, what we know, again, thinking about Usama and Freud now, what we know about psychology is when the body feels stressed, we learn less, period, end of statement. When we are stressed, we don't learn as well. We don't remember what we learn. So now again, that doesn't, I think it's important to have high standards, and I think it's important to teach, to treat you guys with respect and present you guys with lots of important and detailed information and new knowledge. But I don't know, stress just for the sake of stress is not really very helpful, you know? So I appreciate that point, Jay. Yeah, definitely. Usama.
Yes, I have to. I forgot the point.
Jeff talked too much. That's why.
No. Oh.
Okay, if you remember, raise your hand again. Here, wait, do you still have blue hand, new blue hand, or same blue hand?
New blue hand, Democrat hand.
Get in there.
Yes,
No, I'm saying having no due dates, you know, at the end, all students must finish, right? Everything doesn't matter if it was a due date or not. So it's taught me to be structured when I learn. This was great. And another thing is, wouldn't you like to put the question number 7, asking students about your reading? No? You don't like to be exposed?
Well, yeah, some secrets. I don't want everybody to know how weird I am, you know, here away.
Okay, got it.
I think I'll say this about that. That's such a good question, Hiroe, but I truly believe every teacher is different. You know what I mean? Like I love reading the book for you guys. Now, if I said, oh, all students should read for their, all teachers should read for their students. Well, if the teacher hates reading out loud, then I don't think the students will enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? But I do think, so I think that teach just like students, right? My philosophy about how to teach you guys is to try and learn the things that you are good at and help you be even better at them. I think that's the goal of it. That's my goal as a teacher. And I think that's what I would say to other teachers, right? Like, you don't need to be just like Jeff, but like Ahmad was saying, okay, forget about the past. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's imagine we're going to do it totally different. How would you do it? Do you know what I mean? Like, what makes you special and different as a teacher? And do that instead of just trying to do what you think you should do. And like I said, I trained in theater for 4 years. I was a professional actor for 5 years. Like, I have an English degree. Like, I love speaking. I love performing. I think it's something unique about me, and it's something that I really felt like I hoped I could use that skill to help you in your learning. So, so I'd say that instead, Hero, is like,
Is it okay to mention about your reading though?
yes. Oh, yeah, it's not a secret. It's not a
Okay.
secret.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, you guys can all probably tell by now, here's an idiom for you. Like, I am an open book. I'm pretty much just always me all the time, for better and for worse. So I don't have too many secrets, you know what I mean? But thank you for asking, Hero. Usama, you got it? You remembered?
Yes, I remember that that our class is from a certain generation,
Mm,
different ages, different culture, and the reflections on each of us is different.
mm,
But the most important in this class that I am I am enjoying working for
mm.
this class, for the all the assignment to contribute the class and
Mm.
all activity. It make me happy.
Mm.
It's different. This is for me a quite different experiment. Yes, really. The
Yeah,
second issue,
yeah.
the teaching target is to teach maybe younger generations, and that maybe their interest and their perspective to the all the things is different than me or than my, some of my classmates.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I love what you said, Usama. And I think, again, I don't think that I'm special. I don't think that I'm so amazing. But I do think that when you talk about enjoying and happiness, I really think that starts with the teacher. Because if the teacher is unhappy, if the teacher is stressed, if the teacher is judgmental, if the teacher does not love what they're doing, it's really hard to have joy. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're social animals, and emotions they spread. You know what I mean? Like, we communicate them, and yeah. I mean, again, I was in grad school only. I was teaching and in grad school 3 years ago, and I know what it's like when your teacher doesn't want to be there. It sucks. I mean, it's not fun. If your teacher is bored, or if your teacher doesn't care, it's not going to be a fun class. And I don't think I'm a perfect teacher. But I will, like I said, I love this. I feel so lucky to get to work with you guys. And I feel so lucky to get to talk about fiction and poetry with you. And there's I don't think there's a replacement for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think you can't fake that. You can't really fake it. You know what I mean? So. All right. Well, anyway, we've got a lot of good stuff for you to talk about for the extra credit. I do want to talk about the Lathe of Heaven, and I want to talk about Hero's question. And maybe, I do want to have you write one more thing, but I know we've only got about 9 or 10 days. So let's talk about what that is. So here was my idea for. Here's my idea. Like Hero was saying, I posted this assignment in Canvas. So I'm going to go through this, and maybe we just talk about this. Maybe we only do the reflection. We don't do this. But here was the way I wanted to finish up the Lathe of Heaven and finish up fiction. So here's what the idea for the fiction project is. So for this writing assignment, I'm asking you to write about fiction by either analyzing the characters or the theme in Ursula K. Le Guin's The Lathe of Heaven. So you could choose, again, options. Don't start to get your anxiety. Jay was saying we're not feeling stressed, so don't start to get stressed. Let's talk about how we're going to do this. So option A would be analyze Dr. Haber and George Orr as foils for one another. You should discuss what kind of character traits does Dr. Haber have? What are his values? How do you know? Be sure to quote, paraphrase, or summarize specific examples from the text. Then what kind of character traits does George Orr have? What are his values? How do you know? Be sure to quote, paraphrase, or summarize specific examples from the texts. Then how are George and Dr. Haber foils for one another? And again, I've got the slide here, but remember, foil means a character that is the opposite of another character. So they represent two different things, two different aspects of humanity. So how are they foils for each other? That is, how do they represent opposite ideas or values? Be specific. Be sure to quote, paraphrase, or summarize specific examples from the text. So my idea for this one was 1,000 words. So I was sort of imagining, 200, a paragraph here, maybe 2 paragraphs about how they're different. Then option B would be to discuss themes. Now, again, you already thought and wrote really beautifully about theme in the poetry project. So option B would be discuss and respond to one of these 2 themes, which are both very strong in this book, dreams versus reality, and action versus allowing. So doing versus not doing, right? Now, in this essay, you should explain what you think the book says about this theme. For example, does the book imply that action, as represented by Dr. Haber, or allowing, as represented by George Orr, is better? How or why? And your discussion about theme can also include your own personal response to this theme in the book. So did you like the way the book talked about this theme? Why or why not? Did the book make you think about other books, movies, or songs with similar themes? If so, what were they? Do you think this book changed your thinking about this theme? Why or why not? Okay, so here I was saying, okay, is this the same thing as the final reflection? Should this be, and now I'm gonna put it to you guys. Does this look like a lot? Does this look too hard, too difficult? Should we just discuss this today and next week? Do you want to try to do this writing? How do we feel when I show you this idea? How do we feel? What's up, Ahmad?
I'm gonna listen to the other students first.
Okay, I thought I saw your hand. Osama.
I have to say this is very difficult to do.
Okay.
But we have to make this adventure. We have to go and we have to face the challenge. And to
you say it looks very hard, but you want to try.
Yes.
Okay, Hiroe, what you think?
Of course, if you give the option to students not to do, we're gonna say not to do. Give me something else.
Fair enough. Okay. 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 I want you to do, I do want to do this. Okay, then that's fine. I want to do this or the final reflection then. I do want to do one of those 2 things. So I totally understand if this is too much, you don't want to worry about writing 2,000 words in the next 10 or 11 days. That's fine. That's totally fine with me. Ahmad, now I see your hand.
Okay, I think most of the way I see it, most of the students inclining towards the course reflection thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, let's do that. It'll be easier. But then I do want to do this. Then for the rest of today, so we've got about an hour, a little over an hour left, and we have 2 hours next week. Then this is what I want us to talk about, because I really do want to talk about this book. And next semester, I'm going to give us more time. I feel like we went through this book too fast. We didn't give it as much time as I wanted. So then, okay, I'm going to remove the due date. I'm just going to do this because it's boring, but I'm going to do it so you can see me do it. So I'm going to remove the due date from this assignment. Yeah, the final reflection will be much easier.
It's not easier.
It will be. What did you learn from this class? Oh my God, I'd write a paragraph. Oh my God. You don't have to cite or paraphrase anything. Okay, this will be
I
0.
might.
I know you probably will.
The reason I am so happy with the course reflection thing is because I really want to change the system in here. I even wrote
Actually,
a paper in
yeah, I
my
agree with
classes.
yes.
Yeah, and
I-
we're gonna yeah, and I also think the other thing I'll add. Oh, Ahmad, I didn't want to cut you off. Anything else you wanted to say? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, unless I won't be in the college anymore, God knows. But for my case, I don't want them to go through this one. As I told you, I took 110 units
I
in
know.
this old system in the college, and I don't want to go anyone through this.
Okay, so I'm going to keep this up. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up, and I will ask if you're not here and you're watching the video, you're going to watch us talk about these questions for the rest of class today. And if you're not here, open this assignment that's worth 0 points with no due date, and look at the questions. Be ready to talk about it next week, because I do want to. This is what we'll talk about for the rest of our time on Zoom is exploring some of these ideas in the context of the book. But then, like I said, the final reflection, the only thing I wanted to add to what Ahmad said was not just changing the system, which you can really definitely do that in the extra credit where we talk about the design of this class. But also one thing we also know about psychology, like Usama was saying, is when you reflect on what you've done, and when you say, ooh, I learned this thing and I will remember this thing, it works. Like, it's really amazing how that kind of, it's called meta awareness, or learning about how you learn, or being aware of how you learn. It is really, really powerful. So it's not just because it's a little bit easier in terms of creating the content, creating the writing, but it really is a good, I promise, it's good learning strategy. It really helps like set things in the brain. So anyway, okay, cool. So no due date for that. Let me then, in the assignments, let me also do one more thing. I think I created the assignment here. Yes. So then I'm not going to put the questions in here yet, but just so you guys can see it, it's on your, here's more idioms. It's on your radar. You're aware of it. I'm going to add the final reflection here. It will be worth 50 points. And it is going to be due on the 14th at 11:59. And I'm going to make it available, once I add the questions, we'll do that. Oops, excuse me. So again, you guys are watching live, it's going to show that it's due, but there's the questions aren't in here yet. Give me, by the end of today, I think I'll come up. I kind of have the questions already in my mind, but okay. So this is the other thing that's due. This is due. Let me fix this in my PowerPoint as well here. On my what's left slide. So fiction project deleted. So the final reflection is due. And you know what? Now I'm just doing this in live time. I'm going to make this 100 points. Like I said, if you do it, you'll get the 100 points. It just looks more serious, So this will be worth 100 points. You got to make it look good for the boss. You know what I'm saying here? You got to make it look good.
Yeah, you can put 500 if you want. 500
points. I mean, this is very rigorous, very serious study. Where this is
really
high stakes grading here is going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final reflection will be due, next Monday before midnight, and the extra credit for 30 points will be due on the same day at the same time. And that's all that's left. Any questions at all about the business of the class before we get to talk about one of my favorite books in the world?
Yes, I do. So that means the analysis, we just changed to 0 point and no due date. We have nothing to do at home, but we should be prepared so we can discuss in next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I feel like if you have the time and you want to give 30 or 40 minutes to this class, because since we won't have a lot of stuff to do, just start to think about that stuff, because those are kind of basic ways to start to analyze fiction. But if you start to ask yourself those questions for the next week as you review the book or listen to the book, it'll help you. It'll help you. And hopefully it'll just mean we can have a more sort of deep, interesting conversation next week. I'm sure we're going to have an interesting conversation right now, but yeah, I think that's the way, that was what I think, what would I say? That's the way I wanted to guide you guys to think about, to start to analyze the book. So yeah, if you do it, I think you'll learn something. Any other questions about the business of the class? Because otherwise I'm going to put you in groups and we'll start to talk about the book. First, I have a poll that I want to ask. Someone's got an email. Hold on, let me send I'm going to stop sharing real quick. I'm going to send out a poll, which I never do, but I'm going to do this. Hold on. Remember, I'm going to ask you something. So, save. Okay, I'm going to launch a poll. Remember, I cannot see, these are anonymous questions, you guys. So the poll is, how many pages of the book have you read? 0, less than 50, 50 to 100, more than 100, I finished it. I cannot see your answers. This is a secret poll. It'll just help me know where we are at in this process. Ooh, 2 people finished. I love it. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, good, good, good. Okay.
I say I'm reading with you, and that's what I gotta go back and read again the chapters.
Chico. Well, this is perfect then. I'm happy actually. If we do less writing, it means, like I said, you can spend the next week any time that you want to spend on this class. If you haven't finished the book, finish the book. Oh, good. Okay, so I can see the answers. 3 people, 4 people, maybe they have me on in the background. They haven't answered. We'll give them a few more seconds. Fada says 76. Fada's in that 50 to 100 range. Perfect.
I mean percent.
Percent. Oh, percent. Oh, okay. All right, perfect. So no, everyone's at least started it. So I'll show you, or I can tell you the results. Share the results. Like I said, I cannot see who answered what. I don't care. So most people are in that 50 to 100 range, which is great because that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so then I'll just say the same thing. If you're here with me now, and if you're watching on the video and you have time, finish the book. That's all that, like, what's due, finish the book. Listen, you know, listen to me or whatever makes it easy. So then if this is where we're at and we haven't finished the book, then maybe, especially in that 50 to 100 range, I'm going to stop sharing the results. So here's what I do want us to do then. I'm going to put you in groups, maybe just 2 groups, but I'm going to, let me start to share my screen again. And I'm going to say, especially, so if you've got the book, especially, I really wanted to look at chapter 5. Chapter 5 starts on page 51. Chapter 5 starts on page 51 here. And here's what I want you to do. Yeah, I want to put you in small groups first. I think it's easier for you guys to talk in small groups, and then we'll come back to the big group. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine for this activity right now, we're just going to talk about, let's talk about both of these in your group. Let's just kind of go through these questions that I would have had you write about. So I want you with your group to discuss and respond to one of these 2. Actually, I have a better idea for this too. Hold on. So let's just stick to this chapter. Keep it easy, right? Thank you for your patience. I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to share this file with the sort of instructions that I want you to do. What did I call this task? Okay, I just sent a screen share of it. Of course, you could take a picture of this, whatever, but it's in the chat for you now. So I'm going to put you in your group, and I really want you to start to talk about these themes of dreams versus reality. Of course, this whole book deals with like, what is reality? Of course, if you've read the first 50 pages by now, you definitely understand that George has this power where his dreams sometimes, when, and in the book, Ursula calls them effective dreams. When he has effective dreams, his dreams actually change the world, right? His dreams actually change reality. And I see Natasha's hand. I'll come to you in 1 second. His dreams actually change reality. He's very scared of this. He doesn't know what to do. In fact, like we read 2 weeks ago, he's trying to take drugs to stop himself from dreaming. Because he's so afraid of this power that he has. But of course, because that is the central idea of the narrative of the story, this idea of what's real and what's not real, what's a dream and what's reality is, I think, maybe the central theme of the whole text, right? Like the book is sort of really asking in a big way that question: what makes things real? What makes things not real? And then I think the other thing that really comes up in the example in that, like I was saying on option A about the difference between George and Dr. Haber is Dr. Haber, he goes to see Dr. Haber and immediately Dr. Haber is like, I'm going to change the world. Like George has this amazing power. I'm going to use this power to make the world a better place, right? Like now, whether we agree or disagree, that is what Dr. Haber definitely thinks he's doing, right? He definitely thinks like, I'm going to make this world a more beautiful place. I'm going to use George's dreams to make the world a better place. And George over and over again says, you can't do that. Like sometimes you just have to not take action. Sometimes you just have to let things be. You can't always do. You have to let things happen. So I think that's another big theme here in this whole story, which is like action versus allowing, right? I think it's in this chapter 5. Let me see if I can find the quote. Oh, actually, it's chapter 6. Excuse me. It's chapter 6. I'm on page 82. If you're in the book with me, down at the bottom. Well, in the middle of the page, I'll start to read there. On page 82. George says, it says, they're talking to each other, Dr. Haber and George says, I don't know, things don't have purposes, as if the universe were a machine where every part has a useful function. What's the function of a galaxy? I don't know if our life has a purpose, and I don't see that it matters. What does matter is that we're a part, like a thread in a cloth or a grass blade in a field. It is, and we are. What we do is like wind blowing on the grass. There was a slight pause, and when Haber answered, his tone was no longer genial, reassuring, or encouraging. It was quite neutral and verged just detectably on contempt. You have a peculiarly passive outlook for a man brought up in the Judeo-Christian rationalist West, a sort of natural Buddhist. Have you ever studied the Eastern mysticisms, George? The last question, with its obvious answer, was an open sneer. No, I don't know anything about them. I do know that it's wrong to force the pattern of things. It won't do. It's been our mistake for 100 years. Don't you see what happened yesterday? Right, so this example, right, this is just one page, but I mean, I think hopefully it makes sense as you start to think about how to look at a piece of fiction. That just that half of a page is a clear example of this idea of action versus allowing, right? Of function versus being passive, right? Of doing, we could also say doing versus being, right? We could think of that as one of the themes in this text. So, so that's kind of what I'm encouraging you guys to do in your groups, is to talk about these two themes and answer those questions to the best of your ability. If you did underline or circle any quotes or anything that really stood out to you, if you want to just look at that quote that I just read on page 82 and talk about that in your group, you could do that too. But I really want you to just in your small group start to talk about these themes, at least, you know, try it out with each other, and then we'll come back and I can lead us through the discussion. Natasha, you were super patient and I still see your hand. If you're still there, I would love to take your question. Tell me what's up.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Because I'm at work, I don't have a book on me. And
Ah,
could you please refresh my memory, the summary of chapter 6?
and I said chapter 5, but chapter 5 and 6.
Five, yeah.
Chapter 5 is when Heather comes to the office to observe the session, and she sees that's where he dreams about the plague to get to. Dr. Haber wants to fix overpopulation. George has the dream about the plague that kills 6 billion people, and Heather sees it, right? Like the people disappear, all the tall skyscrapers disappear because instead of being a city of millions of people, now it's only hundreds of thousands of people. And there's that scene at the end after Heather leaves, where, let's see, I think I have another quote for us here. But that's really the main point.
Yeah, I remember now.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, and that's at the end. So yeah, exactly. Heather shows up. He has the dream about the plague. That's really also, I'd say the other thing that happens if you're thinking about characters, it's really the first time that George starts to fight Dr. Haber a little bit and push back and say, this isn't appropriate, right? This isn't okay. What you're doing is not appropriate. But again, however these themes of dreams and reality, or doing versus being, action versus allowing, whatever they mean to you, right? If there's another example from another chapter that you guys want to talk about, that's fine too. Okay, makes sense what I'm asking you guys to do. And when in doubt, if you're like, oh my God, or like Natasha saying, you don't have the book in front of you, whatever, that's all good. You can definitely just talk about these questions, which are more sort of like response questions, right? Like, how did you feel about these themes? You know, if you don't feel comfortable analyzing the book yet, you know, just share your thoughts and feelings about what you've read so far and how they connect to some of those themes. Cool? Sweet. I'll give you guys 15 good minutes. That'll give us at least a half hour when we come back to talk about this together in the big group. Let me get the breakout rooms ready. Let's do 3, actually. I think groups of 3 or 4 is good. 5 or 6 might be too many. It's Rouge, good to see you. All right, let me give me 1 second to open the rooms. Actually, I'm going to, hold on 1 second. Okay, rooms are open. Go ahead and join. I'll see you guys in 15 minutes.
We're back.
Welcome back. Was that too much time? Not enough time?
Was a good amount of time.
Good.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Room 2 is going long,
Mhm.
but they have to come back in 10 seconds, you know, they get kicked out. All right.
Oh.
Room 2, welcome back. You got kicked out.
Oh no.
I like that though. It's good. It's good when people have to get kicked out. It means you guys are talking. Yeah, so I also share my screen again if I have stuff to share, but really I'd love to just sort of have a discussion here. I'd love to hear about theme first, but then I realized I tried to send a broadcast message too. If there's questions you just have, like, Jeff, what is this weird book and what is going on? I'm happy to answer any questions that you have as well. So, but let's start with theme since I made you talk about that, and then we can just do sort of question answer. So let's go. What'd you guys talk about?
Okay, in group one, we talked about the team, and I think it's a kind of combination of the themes in this book. As much as I haven't read all of the book, it's about the humanity, reality, and a lot going on. That's all I mean, the first 60 plus pages I read, to me, it looks like it's gonna be more in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas. So then I guess in the first 60 pages, so Ahmad, was there one example, one moment, one character, something that you remember that connects to some of those themes? Like I said, like a moment or a part of the story for you that really connects to that?
As my understanding, that the thing is that I read those 60 pages, to be honest, like it's almost 20 days from now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's where when they're talking about those medications and what laws are going on, and the same time the character is kind of confused about it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, good. So Ahmad, in even a different theme, there's a lot of themes here, but he's talking about medication. There's definitely stuff about medicine and psychiatry. There's definitely a lot of that kind of stuff going on. So even that example that Ahmad brought up is sort of that's a part of this for sure as well. You have more.
And I want to add one more thing in there. As I said, maybe there are more to come. I think there is a theme of morality too, kind of exists in this book. I see it because when I was reading it, it was my mind is kind of was tricking me. One of these movies is called Spotlight of. Let me find it out. There was a movie about it. It's a sci-fi fiction movie which has a philosophical value on it. It kind of reminded me the same thing. The same thing was going on in that movie too.
Cool. Yeah. Look it up. It's interesting. I know 2 weeks ago, Hiro was talking about the Matrix. Yeah. And this idea of like what's real and what's not real.
Yeah. The movie name is Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Oh my God. Oh God. It's so heartbreaking. Oh God. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. I could go on and on and on. Michel Gondry is the director, and Kate Winslet is a genius. And oh my God, in college, I was obsessed with that movie. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. These are themes that very, very special to me. Yes, for sure. I love that. Great. Natasha, I see your hand as well. You want to get in there, and then Osama. So let's do Natasha and then Osama.
Okay. I think also they're talking about a lot of human relationship, like human to human. Yeah.
Go on.
And also there is I don't know how to say, like political system, because there are a lot of they're talking about political regulation, government. They're talking about the same president all the time.
Yes.
I don't know why it's the same president in all realities. It's very funny.
Love that example. I forget what page that is, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yes, and also that they're talking the system, like pharmacy and government, lawyers, because it's all about system. Because the main character went to the psychiatrist, and it was involuntarily, like here we have the same here.
Yes.
So it's about system again, political system. I don't know.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And interesting, again, I think that theme is definitely in this book. And again, this is another interesting thing sort of about literary analysis. There's a little bit about this in one of the chapters from The River Speaks that I made a video for, which is, the same book, the same poem, you could analyze it from all these different perspectives, right? Like, so I love Natasha saying, one theme that I think Natasha talked about this 2 weeks ago too, that really is important for her, that seems really meaningful for her, is this idea about individuals, one person, connecting to one other person, and then the bigger systems of government. Yeah, and I don't want to assume or stereotype, but of course, for people who have experience coming from Eastern Bloc countries or from former Soviet countries, this issue of the individual within huge systems and systems of communism or capitalism, or these are absolutely themes in this book. I totally agree, and it absolutely makes sense that that might be themes. That might be a theme that's like, you know, seems the most clear to certain people. So I love that example, Natasha. And yeah, there's that line where he says, even, you know, my dreams change reality, but the president, it's the same president always. Like, it feels like that's something that never changes. The government is the government.
Yeah, may I add something? For
Please,
example, about the like government regulation.
Yeah.
They regulate what you drink, what you eat, what you even wear,
Yes.
and pharmacy, what the medication you're supposed to take, and what job, what where you live, everything, where even you go for vacation, because in some of the chapters it's about the cabins. Yeah, he was dreaming about forest and to have a cabin or something like this. It's a, I think it's all about the government system in this book.
So can I ask you, Natasha, so then Dr. Haber uses George to change some of these systems, right? Like the president stays the same, but the way that the systems act on individuals does change throughout the book. Do you agree?
I think no, because it's it's about global government. They talking about global government. Because remember, in the end, this psychiatrist became not the president but the ruler of global some organization.
That's right.
I think the system, like, it's look like maybe it changed, but I don't feel it's changed, because he's still supposed to go to this doctor. Yeah, I think it's not changed, because they still try to control the population. They try to control everything.
So then, do you feel like George, now I'm just asking Natalia questions because I'm very interested in her perspective here. Do you feel like George represents the individual? Like, do you feel like George is a part of that big government system, or he represents sort of like our own individual experience? Because again, I do think Dr. Haber and George are clearly very different characters, right? Everybody, I mean, like, totally different in terms of what they, at least what they think they want, or what they think a perfect world looks like. And you're right, Natasha, Dr. Haber, the world he imagines, he is like the leader of this global international, absolutely. So do you feel, I guess, could you say something about the characters in the context of that kind of government system and how they're different?
Okay, I think George is an individual, like represent one person, and he tried to be out of the system. But the professor represents the system because he wants more power. He in one chapter he was just regular doctor. Then in next chapter he was director of the clinic.
That's right. Yeah.
And in next chapter he became. He didn't become the ruler of the, like, a president of the world, but he was a gray cardinal. Yeah, the second ruler of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, and I think the girl represents something in between, because she is a part of this system. She is a lawyer, yeah?
Yes.
And she tried to, she's in between.
What does she, do you remember what kind of cases she specializes in? Just to your point, Natasha, do you remember?
She is, her personality is changed because we don't know what's going on, because maybe she will join the professor in one chapter, like maybe she wants the power too and join the professor.
When George meets her in chapter 4, I think it's chapter 4, you guys, for people who haven't read it, chapter 4 is where we meet Heather, right? Heather, clearly her point of view. If you guys notice, the tone in that chapter is very different. But he goes to see Heather because she's a privacy lawyer, Natasha. Just to your point about that place in the middle. Her job is to help represent individuals' privacy. So I love that point that you just made there. And I don't think it's a mistake, right? That's why George wants to see her, is because he's worried about his own individual privacy, and is Dr. Haber violating his privacy by changing his dreams, right?
Yes, and but still we don't know what she's, maybe she get advantage of him in one chapter and decided to get together with professor and be a professor girlfriend and rule the world. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's but then we understand there is some relationship is going on between them, and she joined George's side.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. That was really great. So again, that was just great. I loved all your ideas there, Natasha. So again, Natasha, again, a great example. Everybody who's listening in the class with us right now, if you're watching the video recording, that's basically all I'm talking about, right? Like, you guys know, like I said, my bias is reality or non-reality, but Natasha just did a beautiful job talking about the theme of government versus the individual, systems versus the individual, and relating that theme to individual characters. And again, for this type of class, that's all I really want us to introduce you guys to, is how to do that, right? Like, and again, you know me, I'm not going to tell you that there's one perfect true analysis of this book. I do want to give you the tools to be able to do that type of analysis, though. So thank you for all your examples, Natasha. Fantastic, fantastic. Anybody else about either anything Natasha said or about any other themes? I see Usama's hand, and then Ahmad's coming back in. Usama, go ahead.
Yeah, Natasha explained in very amazing way.
I agree.
And analyze. Yes, I highly appreciate her description, but I would like to add that George is from a pretty bourgeois class in the society. So he is close to be a poor, not a rich. He live in a single room away, and he is working in a place. We don't know what is the nature of that place, but he is a workable one in life. And from his perspective, we are seeing the narrative, how it's going on from his point of view, and rest of the things Natasha described about that, and I like her description. We can speak a lot about finding the reason for the things, for the galaxy movement, or for the any action in the life, any objective events happened in the universe or on the earth. There is a lot of questions, and the man has a confusion in his life, in his individuality. He is not stable, so we are living through his illusions in the life. How he managed between the dream and the fact, between action and being, and all the stuff which you described to us.
I love that. Yeah, I think Osama said all that really nicely. And I think, again, really interesting, that idea of class there. And real interesting, because at the beginning of the book, if you guys have read the first 50 pages, you do see when George first goes to talk to Dr. Haber doesn't have a big, beautiful office, right? He has kind of a small office, and Ursula she specifically says, let's see if I underline it, but it didn't have a view, right? It didn't have a big window. But I love that contrast, though, because there's not this high class for either of them at the beginning, but then when George does get the cabin in the woods, like you were saying, Natasha, he wakes up and he almost feels guilty. Like he doesn't feel, he's not happy that he got it. He almost feels like, oh, that's too much, or I don't deserve it or something. And Dr. Haber's the one who's like, oh, you deserve it. You're good. You know what I mean? So there's this, that at the beginning, neither of them has this high class or high status, but very clearly Dr. Haber wants high class, wants high status. And when he changes the world with George's dreams, he always gives himself more power, more class, more status, more prestige, and George doesn't. And that's like Usama was saying. And then we get into that, okay, when it's the individual level, then you're caught in between dream and reality, or you're caught between action and inaction, or you're caught between wanting more or wanting less. So really well said, Usama, really interesting. About the class could be another way to analyze, another theme for sure. Ahmad, you got more you want to add?
Yes, Professor. As I said, I haven't finished the book yet, but based on the Natasha's explanation and all the conversation right now, can we call the theme of this book utilitarianism?
Utilitarianism. I'm going to look it up. I saw you put that in the chat. Could you, I think I kind of know what this is, but I don't want to get it wrong. Did you study this, or could you explain it to us, what you mean by that?
It's one of the methods of philosophy, which is based on the quantity to bring changes on the life to make it better.
I see. I'm
The
just.
sentiment can apply to the power if somebody want to control.
Utilitarianism is a family of ethical theories that say actions that maximize happiness and well-being for all affected individuals. This is like, it makes me think about Stoicism or St. Augustine. Interesting. I mean, so instead of saying yes or no to your excellent question, Ahmad, it sounds like some of these ideas are making you think about utilitarianism a little bit. Could you connect those two things for us a little bit, or for you, why they're connected?
I mean, when the George ideas, when the doctor's idea to get and gain power and bring those changes.
Yes. Okay, that's good. So I think this idea of, I think that if utilitarianism is the idea that it's ethically right to do things that bring good or bring benefit, I do think that, yes, that idea is in here. And I think Ursula is asking, is that always true? I think Dr. Haber thinks it's always true, right? Like, but what happens, I see your hand here too. What happens, of course, is as things start to change, some things get better, some things do not, right? Like the global population goes down and there's more food for everybody, but 6 billion people die. So what, and that freaks George. George gets very frightened. He's like, oh my God, like I was the instrument for this. And is this right? Is this right? Anyway, Hiroi, go ahead. And then I think I see, Natasha, if your hand is still up too, or if that's the old hand, but Hiroi, please go ahead.
Yeah, Usama and I were talking also about, what is right and wrong. This is the ultimate question. If you believe this is right, doesn't mean it is maybe right to me. So this is all about, to me, like ultimate question is that's maybe the why the communism doesn't work. Because as long as this is the one person who believes in his belief, doesn't work always, this is good for everyone. Therefore, it's same thing also like political situation. Every party believes what they think is right, but the other party thinks what they think is wrong. So as long as this is a one human being, Dr. Harbour in this case, I don't think he has been a bad guy, but the problem is as he gets what he wants, he became more greedy, making himself not dictator, but the director of the institution. Yep. This is how human being is. Once you get this taste of getting the stuff that you can, the horizon is getting like become made of the rubber band, and you are just going farther and farther and trying to get more and more without you noticing it. So it's like a code system. Therefore, it was interesting listening to all the students and also myself, how difficult it is to judge someone like a jury system. You know, you believe this is right, but maybe I don't think it is right. So this book doesn't give me the ultimate answer what is right or wrong, but to
Definitely not.
give us to think about it, you know,
I agree.
to see in the things in a different perspective.
Really interesting. And especially that quote that I read a moment ago about he's talking about Buddhism or sort of more Eastern religions or Eastern psychology, Eastern psychology, Eastern
How it is.
philosophy. There is this feeling of I think again I'm not a Buddhist expert, but I'm very fond of particularly Theravada Buddhism and Buddhism of Southeast Asia. There is this idea that as soon as the mind gets into good and bad, right and wrong, trouble happens. You know what I mean? It's much the world tends to be much more in balance when we think useful or not useful, skillful or not skillful, because as soon as it's right or wrong, then the judging mind comes in, right? And then it's he's bad, she's right, I'm wrong, and then it's fight or power or whatever, because we need to fight about who's right and who's wrong. So I love that point that you just made there, Hiroe. Absolutely.
May I add a little bit
Sure,
something?
Natasha.
Yeah, I love that heroine said you can decide what is right, what is wrong, because in one chapter, if you remember,
Mm.
everybody became gray, no color, no brown, no like whatever. Sorry if I said no yellow, no white,
No, that's it.
no bodies. Everybody became gray, and like, why you upset about this? The doctor said, George, you want like equality, yeah? You want equality. You want to
Yeah, no more
remove
racism.
this.
No more
Yeah,
racism.
Yeah, I
no more
remember that.
racism. Yeah, and but he looked at the Heather at her at that time it was his wife, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and she's supposed to be brown, and
Right,
she
right.
remember herself to be brown,
Yeah.
but she was gray,
Yeah.
no
Right.
color,
Yes.
no ethnicity or something. They knew that they came from China, or they knew they came from Eastern Europe, but no color. It's very interesting, and in we all in our society we have a desire like to be like everybody is supposed to be equal, yeah, no racism, but how it's gonna be like this?
Yes.
It's very it's scary.
If
Yes.
everyone is same, we have nothing to learn from
Yeah.
each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, no roots, nothing,
Right.
no background.
Yes.
And I want to I don't know, is it qualify as a theme, but if you read from the beginning
Mm.
the anxiety, depression, and agony of the George in the first chapter when he came to the hospital, he was almost dying.
Yes.
Yeah, it started, and the next chapter he has a depression, he could not sleep, and I feel this anxiety. I was reading, I'm in the second chapter. I decided to stop because I I got anxiety
Mm.
from him. But in the middle he mentioned that he stopped, he worried less,
Mm.
and in the end of the novel, he
Yeah.
found the peace,
Yeah.
and it was the mood of the George was changing to
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end. I don't know, is it like what category is that?
Well, I have so many thoughts on that, and we should talk more about that next week when hopefully more people have finished the novel. But I do think that that point that you're making there, Natasha, is connected to action versus inaction, because it's very clear at the beginning of the book that George is more on the inaction side. George is more of letting things happen, right? Like humans can't be in control. Like we can't control everything. We can't try and fix racism by getting rid of race. Like George is not happy when that happens, right? But by the end of the book, you know, he kind of has to, in a certain way. If you haven't read it, it's a little bit of a spoiler here, but he kind of has to save the world, right? He has to take action at the end of the book. And at the end, he says, all my life led up to a moment where I pressed a button to stop the machine, right? When Dr. Haber is changing too many things. So I think that a big change in George is he has to sacrifice everything to take action, to make a change. And I think he kind of brings some balance. So at the beginning, where he's very passive and he's very much allowing things to happen, he has to change a little bit to say, you know what, sometimes you do have to act. Sometimes you do have to change things for other people. And I do think that that transformation is part of the reason that he becomes more peaceful by the end of the novel, Natasha. So that's what I would say. Does that make sense? That's how I would connect it to the big theme of action versus inaction. Does that make sense?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And then I see your hand, Osama. I want to read one thing, just thinking about Ahmad's point here about utilitarianism, and it kind of connects to what Natasha was just asking as well. I'm on page 53, and this chapter is clearly from Dr. Haber's point of view, POV. This is chapter 5. Again, she writes Dr. Haber with much more, confidence and none of that anxious tone or depressive feeling that you get from when George is really, George is in a lot of pain. Like, let's be honest, mental illness is illness. Depression, emotional pain is pain. Do you know what I mean? And that's one thing else I love about the book. She's not hiding that, right? She's saying George is really suffering. You know what I mean? And when we suffer from thoughts or feelings, we do suffer. It's different than getting burned, but it is still very painful. So Dr. Haber's almost too confident. And on page 53, this is like Ahmad's point about utilitarianism. That first full paragraph, it says, one patient, however, he did keep. He was a psychiatrist after all. He'd gone into sleep research and oneurology in the first place to find therapeutic applications. He was not interested in detached knowledge, science for science's sake. There was no use learning anything if it was of no use. Relevance was his touchstone. He would always keep one patient of his own to remind him of that fundamental commitment, to keep him in contact with the human reality of his research in terms of the disturbed personality structure of individual people. For there is nothing important except people. A person is defined solely by the extent of his influence over other people, by the sphere of his interrelationships, and morality is utterly meaningless term unless defined as the good one does to others, the fulfilling of one's function in the socio-political whole. So Dr. Haber definitely is a utilitarian, Ahmad, if that's the definition, right?
Yes.
And I think, like Natasha was just saying, George, I think at the beginning, George is very worried about this type of thinking. I don't think he disagrees. I think throughout the novel, he understands Dr. Haber wants the world to make a better place. He gives him the benefit of the doubt. He understands that impulse. But I do think George is kind of like, well, like Hiro was saying, who gets to say, it says, the term, unless morality is an utterly meaningless term, unless defined as the good one does to others. But like Hiro was saying, good according to who, right? Like, communist governments, they don't think they're doing bad, right? I mean, like, people don't think, very rarely do people think they're doing bad. Even when you get to big structures and system of governments, people think they're doing good. But I do think another point that Ursula is making in the book is it's also a question of scale and size, right? Like, I think, when you're talking about millions of people, okay, hundreds of millions of people, wow, billions of people, to say that there's one good way for 8 billion people, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm skeptical of that. I'll just share my opinion. I'm a little skeptical of that too. I think kindness and love is probably good for all human beings, but systems of government, one system of government that's good for 8 billion people, I don't know. So anyway, Ahmad, I think Dr. Haber is definitely your utilitarian example there. Usama, you were waiting very patiently. I want to make sure we hear from you before class is over. What's up?
Yes, just I would like to not the religions, maybe way of thinking. One of them is a Japanese way called the Chinto. The Chinto is a way of of behavior, people behavior, how people should behave in their life, in their society. This belief, a very old one in Japan, maybe 40% of the people there believe in Shinto, and it is interest way of life. But the other one, which is more interest, is the Chinese, the Taoism. The Taoism always always put reason for any event happening in life. So maybe this make people more comfortable about the problems, the difficulties in their life. They have to put two ways, always two ways of thinking. Why these bad things happen? Maybe because something other good things will happen. That's what I would like to add about finding the answers of the questions.
I love it.
In your problem, in your struggling, suffering.
I love it. I think you're right, of course, and I'll never forget the teacher who what I'm about to say. I feel so lucky because I was like you guys. I got to learn this in a Professor Eileen Elrod's class when I was an undergrad, and the way she taught literature. I mean, I'm probably teaching exactly how she teaches it because I learned from her. It's very helpful to talk about dreams versus reality. It's very helpful to talk about individuals versus society, or action versus inaction, as if, you know, you have to choose one or the other. But you're right, Usama. I think the point really is, the point is reality is actually in a spectrum, right? It's kind of in the middle, and you have to balance these two things out all the time. And I think you're exactly correct. I think talking about binaries or opposites is very helpful to think about themes in a story. But I do think if it's a good book, usually it's not black or white, right? It's sort of a gray, or it's something in the middle, or sort of in between there. So I love that. And I think you're also right to say, again, I think she does a great job in this book. It's not particularly about religion, right? It's not about Christianity in this book, but that quote where Dr. Haber talks about Eastern philosophy versus Western Judeo-Christian, I think you're correct. And again, I know much more about Theravada Buddhism than Zen, but Zen, very famously, I mean, the whole purpose of Zen Buddhism, again, and you said Japan, and Zen is specifically Japanese, is being just to be, is existing just to exist. I mean, it really is the most minimal, the most stripped down version of existence possible. So I think you're exactly correct, Usama, to talk about Japan and Shinto and Taoism from China and some of these other sort of philosophies or psychologies as a part of this text. I think that's absolutely correct. Great. Cool. Amazing. So we'll just do this next week too. So if you like this, just keep reading and be ready to keep talking about some of these themes. I'd like, we should keep talking about themes, but one thing I loved, I'm so grateful to everybody, all of you guys, for being here. And I'm also especially grateful to Natasha for bringing up, because I think Natasha did such a good job of, once we start to identify themes, we can start to connect the themes to individual characters. So as you're reading, think about that. Like Ahmad was asking about utilitarianism, and that inspired me to say, there's definitely an example of Dr. Haber. I mean, we could connect that idea to, you know, a paragraph, you know, like a specific moment from the story. So as you're reading or listening to me, try to think about that. How would you connect some of these themes to specific moments in the story or specific characters in the story? Because I think that's, yeah, really interesting and really fun to do. Before I let you go, because we've got just one more minute, but before I let you go, I will tell you, Hiroe, I see your hand, so let me show you one thing and then I'll let you go. While you were in the breakout rooms, I did get to copy and paste the questions that I've been working on for the final reflection. So here are the instructions for the final reflection. The final exam is a personal reflection. Please submit a document that answers the 5 following questions. I strongly encourage you to write at least 200 words per question. So number one was something you really enjoyed learning this semester. Why did you enjoy learning it? 2, what's something you wish you had learned more about? Why do you want to know more about this? How do you plan to learn more about it in the future? 3, how has this class changed the way you read? If the answer is it hasn't, just explained why it hasn't. 4, how has this class changed the way you write? And 5, write 200 words about what stories, narratives, poetry, fiction mean to you in your own life. That's it. That's the last thing you have to do for this class, aside from the extra credit if you want to do it. And I just wanted to show you that that's in Canvas now. And again, before midnight, December 14th, for that final reflection and for the extra credit. Hiroe, what's up?
You just answered my question. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, then it's 2:15, and I love.
Professor, we should pick up one of them the in the list, no?
No, I mean, I'll do all 5. That's if it's 200 words per question. I mean, like, believe me, your 200 words is going to go fast. Those are big questions. So you've got about 1,000 words of writing left, and then you're done.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
200 points, the words minimum, or
You know me. If you really feel like I feel like knowing you guys have 200 words is less than a paragraph. So I think it will be easy for you guys. But Usama, if you're like, oh my God, question 3, I hate it, and I only have 100 words, that's fine. I don't care. You know, I'm thinking of Jay. Don't feel stressed. You know what I mean? Right? The minute you start to feel stressed, stop. Life's too short, you know? Well, that's it. I was just going to say, I loved being with you guys today. I loved hearing all of your thoughts on this book. And I'm just so grateful to get to work with you all. And if you have questions, hang out for a second and I'll be here. If not, I'll see you guys in 1 week and we're almost there. Good luck in other classes and finals and all that stuff. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thanks, Fada. Thank you, Jay.
Bye.
Thank you, Professor. So,
Thanks, everyone.
be safe and happy, you and your family, please.
Thank you so much. You too. You too. Guys, let me think about the Spanish question, and then maybe I'll give you a list or ideas next week.
oh, please, yeah.
You
Yeah, just let you know, I have, I'm just started from the beginning.
Oy, oy, oy. Okay.
Yeah, therefore, I need to ask you which one is good to make me good in this class.
Yeah, let me think about it. What would I do for a very beginner? Great question. Let me think, and then I'll give you either a websites or books ideas or something. Give me a week to think about it. Then I won't have to sit here and just think. I'll let you go, and then I can give it to you next week.
Thank you so much, Professor.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Letty, you still there? You heading out? ¿Qué pasa? Okay. I think you're taking care of other biz. Okay, nos vemos, Letty. Ciao.